Welcome to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetype guide. We are diving into the most iconic spellcaster archetype in the game. Dark Magician Archetype is a lineup of dark spellcaster-type monsters that focus on summoning the iconic Dark Magician and using powerful support cards tied to him. This archetype is known for its fusion and spell-heavy gameplay, its ability to control the board through spell and trap effects, and its deep synergy between classic and modern cards. Dark Magician is your iconic boss monster and the heart of the entire archetype. It doesn't have any crazy effects by itself, but it's the key card that all your spells and traps revolve around. You can instantly special summon it with Dark Magic Curtain or Sage's Stone to quickly get it on the field. Best to use as your main powerhouse to trigger combo pieces like Eternal Soul, Dark Magical Circle, and Magician's Navigation. Dark Magician Girl is your trusted partner to the Dark Magician. She gains 300 attack for every Dark Magician or Magician of Black Chaos in your GY, making her stronger as the duel goes on. Best to use alongside bond between teacher and student or the Dark Magicians to create strong field presence and easy fusions. Magician of Black Chaos is your original ritual monster form of Dark Magician. You can ritual summon it with Black Magic Ritual or even modern options like Chaos Form and Secrets of Dark Magic. Best to use in ritual-focused builds that mix Dark Magician support with Chaos strategies for extra versatility. Dark Magician of Chaos is your heavy-hitting upgrade of the classic Dark Magician. When it's summoned, you can add one spell from your GY to your hand, and if it destroys a monster by battle, it banishes that monster. If it leaves the field, it gets banished instead. Best to use with Monster Reborn or Magician's Souls to recycle it for more spell recovery and removal pressure. Skilled Dark Magician is your setup monster for summoning Dark Magician. Every time a spell card is activated, it gains up to 3 spell counters. You can then tribute it with 3 counters to special summon Dark Magician from your hand, deck, or GUI. Best to use early in the duel to build counters while setting up your key combo pieces. Dark Sage is your old-school combo card that rewards risky plays. It can only be special summoned by tributing a Dark Magician right after you call Time Wizard's coin toss correctly, and when it's summoned, you add one spell from your deck to your hand. Best to use for nostalgic or fun builds. It's tricky to summon but stylish when pulled off. Dark Eradicator Warlock is your burn monster that punishes spell-heavy decks. You must tribute a Dark Magician to special summon it, and every time a normal spell is activated, your opponent takes 1000 damage after it resolves. Best to use in control decks or when facing opponents who rely heavily on spell cards. Dark Magician Knight is your destruction-based variant of Dark Magician. You special summon it using Knight's title, and when it hits the field, you can target and destroy one card on the field. Best to use for quick removal plays, especially when combined with Dark Magic Curtain for surprise setups. Magician's Rod is your main searcher for Dark Magician spells and traps. When it's normal summoned, you can add one spell or trap from your deck to your hand that specifically lists Dark Magician in its text. Plus, during your opponent's turn, you can tribute a spellcaster to add it back from your GY. Best to use as your turn 1 normal summon to grab combo pieces like Dark Magical Circle or Eternal Soul. Magician's Robe is your defensive setup monster. During your opponent's turn, you can discard one spell or trap to special summon a Dark Magician from your deck, and if you activate a spell or trap while it's in your GY, you can special summon this card back, but it gets banished when it leaves the field. Best to use during your opponent's turn to maintain field presence and surprise them with a Dark Magician summon. Magician of Dark Illusion is your alternate version of Dark Magician with reactive effects. Its name becomes Dark Magician while on the field. You can special summon it during your opponent's turn when you activate a spell or trap, and it can revive a Dark Magician from your GY once while it's face up. Best to use with Eternal Soul or Dark Magical Circle to keep your field full and your opponent under pressure. Palladium Oracle Mahid is your shining protector and combo starter. When you draw it, you can reveal it to special summon straight from your hand, and if it battles a dark monster, its attack doubles during the damage step. Plus, if it's destroyed, you can special summon a Dark Magician from your hand, deck, or GY. Best to use as a surprise attacker or as backup when you need to get Dark Magician on the field instantly. Palladium Oracle Mana is your guardian angel for your spellcasters. If your opponent targets one of your spellcasters, you can special summon this card from your hand or GY, and while it's on the field, your level 7 or higher spellcasters can't be destroyed by card effects. If it's destroyed, you get to special summon a Dark Magician Girl from your hand, deck, or GY. Best to use for protection and to easily bring out Dark Magician Girl for quick plays or fusion setups. Apprentice Illusion Magician is your quick searcher and hand trap support. You can special summon it from your hand by discarding one card, and when it's summoned, you can add a Dark Magician from your deck to your hand. Plus, during battle, you can send it from your hand or field to the GY to boost a Dark Spellcaster's attack and defense by 2000 for that battle. Best to use for both consistency and protection. Search Dark Magician early or save it to power up your boss monster during combat. Apple Magician Girl is your defensive trickster in the Magician Girl lineup. When it's attacked, you can special summon a level 5 or lower spellcaster from your hand, change the attack target to it, and the attacking monster's attack becomes half. If Apple is destroyed, you can add up to 3 Magician Girl monsters with different names from your GY to your hand. Best to use in Magician Girl focused decks for stalling, recycling, and setting up combo pieces. Berry Magician Girl is your main searcher for the Magician Girl cards. When it's normal summoned, you can add 1 Magician Girl from your deck to your hand. And if it's targeted by an attack or card effect, you can change its battle position and special summon another Magician Girl from your deck. Best to use as your turn 1 play to set up your lineup and bait attacks from your opponent. Chocolate Magician Girl is your draw engine and field recycler. Once per turn, you can discard a spellcaster to draw 1 card, helping you cycle through your deck. When targeted for an attack, you can special summon a spellcaster from your GY, change the attack to it, and the attacker's attack is cut in half. Best to use mid-game for card draw and GY revival plays to keep your field full. Kiwi Magician Girl is your team booster and protector. During either player's turn, you can discard it to boost all your Magician Girl monsters by 300 attack and defense for each one with a different name on the field or in the GY. While on the field, your spellcasters can't be destroyed or targeted by card effects. Best to use as a hand trap style card to surprise your opponent during battle or protect your setup from destruction. Lemon Magician Girl is your searcher and decoy in the Magician Girl crew. You can tribute another Magician Girl to add a spellcaster monster from your deck to your hand. And if Lemon is attacked, you can special summon a spellcaster from your hand, negate its effects, and cut the attacker's attack in half. Best to use for searching key spellcasters like Dark Magician Girl or Apprentice Illusion Magician, while keeping field pressure with its defensive tricks. Illusion of Chaos is your modern ritual ace and powerful hand utility card. You can ritual summon it with Chaos form, but even without that, you can reveal it in your hand to search for a Dark Magician or any monster that mentions it, then place 1 card from your hand on top of your deck. Plus, when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can bounce this card back to your hand to special summon Dark Magician from your GY and negate that effect. Best to use for consistency and disruption, it searches your core pieces while doubling as a defensive counter to monster effects. Magician of Chaos is your destructive ritual version of Dark Magician. You can ritual summon it using Chaos form, and while on the field or in the GY, its name becomes Dark Magician. Once per turn, when a spell or trap effect is activated, you can target and destroy any card on the field. If it's destroyed, you can special summon a Chaos or Black Luster Soldier ritual monster from your hand, ignoring its conditions. Best to use as your offensive ritual boss for blowing up cards and extending into bigger ritual plays. Magician Souls is your combo engine and main deck all-star. You can send a level 6 or higher spellcaster from your deck to the GY, then either special summon this card or send it to the GY to special summon Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl. You can also send up to 2 spells or traps from your hand or field to draw that many cards. Best to use for consistency and setup. Send Dark Magician to the GY for easy revival and use its draw power to refresh your hand. Chronicle Magician is your power-up support for Dark Magician or Blue Eyes decks. When a monster with 2500 original attack or defense is summoned to your field, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. Then, if it's special summoned, you can boost your Dark Magician or Blue Eyes White Dragon by 2500 attack or defense until the end of the turn. Best to use as a surprise buff during your big turns to help your boss monsters overpower opponents. Chronicle Sorceress is your mill setup card that bridges Dark Magician and Blue Eyes support. Depending on your GY's attributes, if you have dark monsters, you can send a Dark Magician or a card that mentions it from your deck to the GY. Best to use for GY setup, especially when paired with Magician's Souls or Eternal Soul to quickly revive your spellcasters. Magikuribo is your tiny lifesaver with big plays. When you take damage by battle or card effect, you can send it from your hand to the GY to special summon Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl from your deck or GY. Also, if one of your spellcasters is destroyed, you can add this card back from the GY to your hand. Best to use as a defensive hand trap to keep your board alive and instantly bring out your key monsters when things go wrong. Timaeus the United Dragon is your fusion enabler and key combo extender. You can send a spellcaster or a card that mentions Dark Magician from your hand or field to the GY to special summon this card. Once per turn, you can fusion summon using monsters from your hand or field, including a spellcaster. Best to use for fusions like Dark Magician the Dragon Knight or the Dark Magicians, turning any setup into a powerful extra deck summon. Magician of Black Chaos Max is your ritual boss that locks down monster effects. You can ritual summon it with chaos form, and when it's special summoned, you contribute one monster to stop your opponent from activating any monster effects for the rest of the turn. When it destroys a monster by battle, you can add a spell from your GY to your hand. Best to use as your finisher or control piece. Tribute your own monster to completely shut down your opponent's turn and maintain spell advantage. The Dark Magicians is your all-around fusion boss monster that represents the heart of the archetype. It lets you draw one card whenever a spell or trap card or effect is activated, and if that card is a spell or trap, you can set it, and even use it that same turn if it's a quick play or trap. When it's destroyed, it brings back both Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl from your hand, deck, or GY. Best to use when you have multiple spell or trap activations per turn to keep your card advantage flowing. Dark Paladin is your spell-negating powerhouse. It lets you discard one card to negate and destroy any spell activation, and it also gains 500 attack for every dragon on the field and in the GY. Best to use against dragon-based decks or heavy spell users. It can easily climb to massive attack numbers while shutting down key spells. Amulet Dragon is your GY cleaning fusion monster. When it's special summoned, you can banish any number of spell cards from both GYs, and it gains 100 attack for each banished spell. If it's destroyed, you can revive a Dark Magician from your GY. Best to use mid to late game to both boost its power and remove your opponent's spell resources. Dark Magician the Dragon Knight is your field protector. Its name becomes Dark Magician while on the field or in the GY, and it protects your spell and trap cards from being targeted or destroyed by your opponent's effects. Best to pair with Eternal Soul or Dark Magical Circle to keep your setup completely safe. Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight is your flexible removal option. Once per turn, you can discard one card to destroy any face-up card on the field. Best to use when you need quick and reliable destruction while keeping Dark Magician Girl synergy alive. Dark Cavalry is your piercing attacker and targeting negator. It gains 100 attack for every spell and trap on the field and in the GYs, deals piercing battle damage, and can discard a card to negate and destroy any effect that targets a card on the field. Best to use when facing decks that rely on targeting effects or defensive monsters. Ebon High Magician is your Xyz monster for tactical plays. It lets you activate quick play spells or traps directly from your hand during your opponent's turn by detaching one Xyz material. If destroyed or sent to the GY by your opponent, it special summons a dark spellcaster from your hand or deck and can destroy a card on the field. Best to use when you want to pressure your opponent during their turn with surprise spell or trap activations. Ebon Illusion Magician is your go-to Xyz monster for Dark Magician swarming. It can detach one material to special summon a spellcaster type normal monster, usually Dark Magician, from your hand or deck. Then, whenever a normal spellcaster attacks, you can banish an opponent's card. Best to use alongside Dark Magical Circle for non-stop banishing pressure. Red Ice Dark Dragoon is your ultimate boss monster and win condition. It can't be destroyed by card effects or targeted by any effects, making it extremely hard to deal with. During your main phase, it can destroy an opponent's monster and burn them for damage equal to that monster's original attack. And it can even do this multiple times per turn, depending on how many normal monsters you used as materials. Plus, once per turn, you can discard a card to negate and destroy any card or effect, and it gains 1000 attack. Best to use as your finishing move or as your last line of defense. It's nearly impossible to remove once it hits the field. Master of Chaos is your fusion ace for light and dark synergy. When fusion summoned, it lets you special summon a light or dark monster from your GY, and you contribute one of each attribute to banish all monsters your opponent controls. If it's destroyed, you can recover a spell from your GY. Best to use for field wipes or when you want to bring back powerful monsters like Dark Magician or Chaos Sorcerer for big plays. Dark Magician the Knight of Dragon Magic is your piercing and burn damage fusion. It lets your monsters deal piercing battle damage, and whenever one of your monsters destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you inflict extra damage equal to that monster's original attack. If it's destroyed, you can special summon both Dark Magician and Gaia the Dragon Champion from your hand, deck, extra deck, or GY. Best to use for aggressive strategies that focus on both battle pressure and heavy damage output. Dark Magician of Destruction is your search and transformation fusion. You can summon it by fusion summon or by banishing a dark spellcaster when a spell effect is activated that turn. When special summoned, it lets you add Dark Magician or any card that mentions it from your deck to your hand. Its name also becomes Dark Magician while on the field or in the GY. Best to use when you need an extra Dark Magician name for combos with Dark Magical Circle or Eternal Soul. Quintet Magician is your full board nuke and ultimate spellcaster fusion. If fusion summon using 5 spellcasters with different names, it destroys all cards your opponent controls. No targeting, no protection. Plus, it can't be tribute, used as fusion material, or destroyed by card effects. Best to summon when you can load your GY with multiple spellcasters for a complete board wipe and unstoppable field presence. Secretarian Dragon is your control-based fusion for spellcaster dragon decks. It weakens itself slightly for each of your banished cards, but it prevents your opponent's special summon dragons and spellcasters from using their effects. It can also revive one dragon or spellcaster from your GY and return another to your deck. Best to use to recycle resources while shutting down your opponent's boss monsters. Timaeus the United Magidragon is your resilient and versatile fusion. After being special summoned, it becomes unaffected by other effects until the end of your next turn, and when it battles, it gains 100 attack for every spell in both GYs and the banished zone. During your opponent's turn, it can also destroy a spell or trap on the field as a quick effect. Best to use as a durable offensive option that keeps applying pressure while clearing back row. Dragon Master Magia is your ultimate counter fusion that bridges Blue Eyes and Dark Magician themes. Once per turn for each card type, it can negate and destroy that card's activation. If it leaves the field because of an opponent's card, you can special summon a Blue Eyes monster or a Chaos or Black Luster Soldier ritual monster from your extra deck or GY. Best to use as a powerful multi-negate boss that can swing momentum in your favor even when destroyed. Dark Magic Curtain is your shortcut to bringing out Dark Magician instantly. It lets you pay half your life points to special summon Dark Magician directly from your deck, but you can't summon other monsters that turn only set. Best to use when you need to get Dark Magician on the field right away for plays with Dark Magical Circle or Eternal Soul. Sage's Stone is your support card for Dark Magician Girl. If you control her, you can special summon a Dark Magician from your hand or deck for free. Best to use when both Dark Magician Girl and support cards like Bond between teacher and student are in play for smooth setup combos. Dark Magic Attack is your one-card spell and trap board wipe. If you control Dark Magician, you can destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls. Simple and powerful. Best to use when you're ready to go for the final push or clear your opponent's back row before attacking. Dark Burning Attack is your field clearing spell for Dark Magician Girl. If she's on your field, you can destroy all face-up monsters your opponent controls. Best to use for wiping your opponent's field before swinging for a game, especially when paired with Dark Burning Magic. Thousand Knives is your targeted removal spell. If you control Dark Magician, you can target and destroy one of your opponent's monsters. Best to use when you need to take out a key monster before you attack or activate your combos. Knight's Title is your evolution card for Dark Magician. By tributing a face-up Dark Magician, you can special summon Dark Magician Knight from your hand, deck, or GY. Best to use for adding an extra layer of protection or to trigger Dark Magician Knight's effect to destroy a card on the field. Magic Formula is your classic equip spell for Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl. It boosts their attack by 700, and when it's sent from the field to the GY, you gain 1000 life points. Best to use for both offense and recovery, a small boost that can make a big difference in tight duels. The Eye of Timaeus is your key fusion spell for the Archetype. You target a Dark Magician monster you control to fusion summon a monster from your extra deck that lists it as material, like Dark Magician the Dragon Knight or Amulet Dragon. Best to use for quick access to your powerful fusion options and to adapt to any duel situation. Magicalized Fusion is your late-game fusion spell for huge plays. It lets you banish fusion materials from your field or GY to fusion summon a spellcaster fusion monster from your extra deck. Best to use for summoning Quintet Magician for a full field wipe or to bring out your boss monsters when your GY is loaded. Dark Magical Circle is your main control card for the Dark Magician strategy. When activated, it lets you look at the top 3 cards of your deck and add a Dark Magician or any spell or trap that lists it, then rearrange the rest. Plus, every time Dark Magician is summoned to your field, you can banish one of your opponent's cards. Best to use with Eternal Soul for a constant banish loop every turn. Secrets of Dark Magic is your quick and flexible ritual and fusion spell. It lets you either fusion summon using your Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl or ritual summon using them as tribute material. Best to use as a quick play spell to surprise your opponent on their turn or to extend your combos mid-battle. Chaos Form is your key ritual spell for Illusion of Chaos and Magician of Chaos. It lets you tribute monsters from your hand or field or banish Dark Magician from your GY to ritual summon a Chaos or Black Luster Soldier monster. Best to use when you've already got Dark Magician in your GY to save your field resources. Dark Magic Twin Burst is your power-up spell for Dark Magician. It boosts your Dark Magician's attack by the total attack of all Dark Magician girl you control or that are in the GYs until the end of the turn. Best to use as a finisher card when you want to push for game with massive damage. Magician's Salvation is your ultimate setup card for Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl. When activated, it lets you set Eternal Soul directly from your deck, and it can also special summon a Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl from your GY whenever one of them is summoned. Best to use early to establish your field and keep your spellcasters constantly recycling. Bond between teacher and student is your combo extender for the Dark Magician duo. If you control Dark Magician, you can special summon Dark Magician Girl from your hand, deck, or GY, then set a card like Dark Magic Attack or Dark Burning Magic straight from your deck. Best to use when you're setting up for explosive board clearing plays. Strength and Unity is your banishing and recycling spell. When you ritual or fusion summon using Dark Magician or even Blue Eyes White Dragon, you can banish one of your opponent's cards from the field or GY. Later, you can send this card to the GY to recover a high-level normal monster from your GY. Best to use alongside Chaos Form or the Eye of Timaeus for double value. Piercing the Darkness is your draw engine and attack booster for Dark Magician. It lets you draw a card whenever you summon a normal monster, and during battle, it makes your monster gain attack equal to your opponent's battling monster's attack until the end of the turn. Best to use to keep your hand advantage steady while making your Dark Magician unstoppable in combat. Soul Servant is your ultimate setup and draw power card for the Dark Magician deck. It lets you place any card that lists Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl on top of your deck from your hand, deck, or GY, and later you can banish it from the GY to draw cards equal to how many different Palladium monsters, Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl you have on the field and in the GYs. Best to use after filling your GY with your key spellcasters to maximize your draw power and keep your plays going. Dark Magic Expanded is your all-in power-up spell for Dark Magician strategies. It gives effects depending on how many Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl you have on the field and in the GYs. 1 or more boosts a Dark Spellcaster by 1000 attack, 2 or more grants protection from responses and destruction, and 3 or more makes your Dark Spellcasters completely unaffected by your opponent's effects for the turn. Best to use when you've already got multiple spellcasters on board for maximum protection and offensive power. Dark Magic Inheritance is your quick search spell for any Dark Magician related card. It lets you banish 2 spells from your GY to add any spell or trap that lists Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl from your deck to your hand. Best to use mid or late game when your GY is filled with spells you've already used, letting you recycle resources and fetch cards like Eternal Soul or Dark Magical Circle right when you need them. Dark Burning Magic is your ultimate board wipe for the Dark Magician duo. If you control both Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls in one go. Best to use as a game-ending move or to completely reset your opponent's field after setting up both spellcasters. Illusion Magic is your quick way to recover or search Dark Magician. By tributing any spellcaster you control, you can add up to 2 copies of Dark Magician from your deck or GY to your hand. Best to use during your opponent's turn to dodge targeting effects or chain it with cards like Magician's Rod for extra value. The Gaze of Timaeus is your New Age fusion spell for Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl. It targets one of them on your field or in your GY and fusion summons a monster from your extra deck that lists it as material by shuffling it back into the deck, but that monster gets banished at the end of the next turn. Best to use for quick access to cards like Dark Magician the Dragon Knight or the Dark Magicians when you need an instant power play. Chaos Scepter Blast is your removal and bonus summon tool for high-level spellcasters. If you control a level 8 or higher spellcaster, it lets you banish any card on the field face down, ignoring protection effects. And if it's destroyed while set, you can special summon Magician of Black Chaos or Dark Magician of Chaos straight from your deck, ignoring their summoning conditions. Best to use in decks that also include Ritual or Chaos versions of Dark Magician for huge comeback potential. Magician Navigation is your classic combo starter and disruption trap for Dark Magician decks. It lets you special summon a Dark Magician from your hand, then another level 7 or lower Dark Spellcaster straight from your deck, giving you instant field presence. From the GY, you can even banish it to negate an opponent's face-up spell or trap for the turn. Best to use when you have Dark Magical Circle active. That way, you can chain it to banish a card your opponent controls right after summoning Dark Magician. Eternal Soul is your main protection and revival trap for Dark Magician. It makes every Dark Magician you control unaffected by your opponent's card effects, and once per turn, you can either special summon one from your hand or GY or add Dark Magic Attack or Thousand Knives to your hand. Best to use once you've secured your field setup, but be careful. If Eternal Soul leaves the field, all your monsters get destroyed. Black Illusion is your temporary safeguard for your big Dark Spellcasters. It makes all Dark Spellcaster monsters you control with 2000 or more attack immune to battle destruction and your opponent's effects for the turn, though their own effects are negated. Best to use as a clutch defensive move to protect Dark Magician and keep your monsters alive through your opponent's turn. Dark Renewal is your trap-based monster removal and summon combo. When your opponent summons a monster, you can send that monster and one of your spellcasters to the GY, then special summon a Dark Spellcaster from your deck or GY. Best to use when your opponent brings out a boss monster. You'll remove their threat and replace it instantly with another powerful spellcaster like Dark Magician or Magician of Dark Illusion. Magician's Combination is your tag team negation trap for Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl. Once per turn, when any card or effect is activated, you contribute one of them to special summon the other from your hand or GY and negate that activation. Plus, if this card is destroyed, you can pop any card on the field. Best to use when both spellcasters are in rotation for constant negates and field control. Magician's Defense is your damage reducer and recovery trap. As long as you control a spellcaster, any damage you take is halved, and if it's sent to the GY, you can special summon a spellcaster from there. Best to use to survive big turns or burn effects, and it's great for recycling your Dark Magician Girl or Magician's Rod when destroyed. Destined Rivals is your field-wide monster negation trap. If you control Dark Magician or Blue Eyes White Dragon, it negates the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls until the end of the turn. Best to use right before your opponent's combo goes off, locking down their entire field and protecting your setup. And Dark Magic Amulet is your new reactive defense trap for Dark Magician decks. You can activate it the turn it's set by revealing a spellcaster in your hand, and it negates an opponent's monster effect that tries to respond to a card mentioning Dark Magician. It even sets itself back from the GY if you special summon Dark Magician while it's there, by paying 2,500 life points. Best to use to protect your plays with the Eye of Timaeus or Eternal Soul, ensuring your combos go through safely. The main goal of the Dark Magician archetype is to summon Dark Magician quickly and use its powerful support cards to control the game and overwhelm your opponent. One of the main ways to play Dark Magician is as a control deck. Using cards like Dark Magical Circle and Eternal Soul, you can constantly banish your opponent's cards whenever Dark Magician is summoned. Magician's Rod helps you search these key cards, letting you establish a recurring cycle of control and removal that keeps your opponent on their toes. Fusion monsters are the powerhouse of the archetype. Cards like the Dark Magicians, Dark Magician the Dragon Knight, and Quintet Magician can dominate the field. Magician's Souls and Secrets of Dark Magic make it easy to perform fusion summons during either player's turn, giving your deck a flexible and powerful offense. The deck heavily relies on spell and trap cards to generate advantage. Cards like Dark Magical Circle, Eternal Soul, and Soul Servant not only provide consistency but also protect your monsters. This makes the deck feel like a true magician's strategy, casting spells, setting traps, and controlling the duel through clever timing and resources. Many modern builds use support engines to boost consistency. The Illusion of Chaos and Magician Souls combo is a staple, allowing you to search or send Dark Magician to the graveyard while drawing new cards. Some players also mix in Apprentice Illusion Magician or Timaeus the United Dragon for faster fusion or dragon-based setups. While Dark Magician is mainly control-focused, some builds go all in on OTK potential. Using Bond between Teacher and Student or Secrets of Dark Magic, you can fusion summon high ATK monsters and push for game. Cards like Soul Servant and Mahad the Protector Priest can also give you the burst power needed to end duels fast. However, Dark Magician archetype has several weaknesses that keep it from being a top-tier deck in competitive play. The deck often needs multiple cards to get its engine running, like Magician's Rod, Eternal Soul, and Dark Magical Circle. If you don't open the right combination, your first turn can feel underwhelming compared to faster meta decks. Dark Magical Circle and Eternal Soul are essential for your strategy, but if they get destroyed or negated, the deck's power drops drastically. Without Eternal Soul, your Dark Magician might not even stay on the field long enough to make an impact. The archetype struggles against decks with heavy monster effect negation like Borlode Savage Dragon or Baron de Fleur. Since most of your plays revolve around activating spells or summoning Dark Magician, getting interrupted mid-combo can completely stall your turn. Because Dark Magician relies on setting multiple traps, it can be predictable. Opponents who run back row removal like Cosmic Cyclone or Evenly Matched can easily break your setup before it even gets started. Once your key cards are destroyed, recovery is tough. While Soul Servant can help recycle resources, the deck doesn't have strong comeback tools compared to faster combo decks. If your Eternal Soul gets removed, it can even wipe out your Dark Magician monsters instantly, leaving your field wide open. Therefore, the Dark Magician archetype is all about timing, resource management, and magical synergy. It rewards players who understand their card interactions and know when to strike. While not the fastest deck, it's one of the most strategic and rewarding archetypes to master. So if you love classic Yu-Gi-Oh!, spell-heavy combos, and commanding the field with legendary monsters, the Dark Magician deck is perfect for you. It's a timeless archetype that proves no matter how many years pass. The ultimate wizard in terms of attack and defense will always have a place in the game.